Welcome back to Bass Fishing Dive Bar. I'm Adam Hinkle. He's Curt Demerath. And today it's just us two. No guests today. We're going to focus on co-anglers in the sport. The positives, the negatives, the good experiences, the bad experiences. Forward-facing sonar in relation to co-anglers. All of that. Everything co-anglers today. How you been, Curt?
Good. Freezing up here in Wisconsin again.
Yeah, it's not here.
Middle of February.
Degrees here. We had a couple baseball games today.
Yeah, I don't know when this is going out, but first week of February it was like 40 to 50 all week. Now it's cold again with wind chill. I think it was like -2 today.
I've never even felt -2.
Well,
thank God.
So it's with wind chill. Shot sporting clays yesterday. It was 25 degrees. My buddy and I were like, wow, it's really nice. We should shoot a couple more rounds. It's 25 degrees.
No, thank you. I'd be holed up in the house.
You get used to it. It's a dry cold.
What's that?
It's a dry cold.
That's a dry cold?
We joke about it
yeah,
up there.
It's just dry heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a dry heat in San Diego.
Yep.
It is different though.
It is.
You go to Orlando, and it's 90 degrees in Orlando. It's absolutely miserable.
Mm-hmm.
You can barely breathe when you walk outside. It's so thick.
Yeah.
I was there last year or couple of years ago. I'm going back this May.
That's it. And honestly, I'd rather it be 20 degrees here than the days we get where it's like 33, 34 and there's fog or it's real damp. Like no matter what you wear, no matter what you do, that moisture just blows into you, just sucks the heat right out of you. So I'd rather it be, because if it's 20 and there's not much moisture in there, you just block the wind. And I mean, we all got good stuff that you don't have to dress real heavy. You just got to keep the heat you got in. We're shooting sporting clays or going bird hunting or something. You're constantly moving. Helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we're lucky here. That's why we pay so damn much to live in San Diego, man. I own about 4 jackets. And none of them as heavy as any you got.
It's like the same temperature there every time I call you.
Pretty much, dude. I mean, middle of summer we'll get up into the hundreds for sure, but it's been so mild, especially this year. We had some rain this year, but it hasn't really gotten cold.
Yeah, not here.
But
not here. We had those snowmobile races that I cooked for a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so. I think the high temperature that day, without wind, just flat out high temperature, was like -6. Like -14 or something in the morning when I fired on flat top grills. Let me tell you, a flat top grill in that temperature, one, your propane freezes, propane tanks. You got to have blankets. You got to have heating blankets on your tanks. And two, it's so cold, it's hard to keep the flat top actually hot with it turned on high. So like a big Blackstone.
Yeah. Just thin metal, cools out quick.
Yeah. And then end of July, early August, I was like, it's 110. I'm not going fishing. I mean, that's how much of a swing we get in temperature throughout the year. I mean, that's crazy. Most years you're looking at, 100-degree swing in 6 months. 6 months you can have that over the course of 6 months. So, you gotta get tough to a lot of stuff. And we're humid. It's sticky here. We get the sticky, humid. But yeah.
Well, that's why you can't find a house here for under $1 million in the area that I live now. Didn't used to be that way, but these days you can't find one for under $1 million. It's insane.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's pretty easy to spend half that here on a not very big house.
Yeah.
16 to 2,000 square foot. I mean, that doesn't include basement, because every house here has a basement. I don't know how you guys are, but I know most of California, you guys don't have basements out there.
Yeah. No, we don't.
That's like
standard.
All
right, let's get back on topic.
Standard operating procedure. Off topic.
Speaking of the basement, Let's talk about co-anglers.
In the basement for topics we're going to talk about and bash on co-anglers. No, we're going to talk about co-anglers.
No, that's a joke. I like co-anglers. I've had a lot of
Oh,
good
that's it.
co-anglers in my past.
You have a whole different experience with co-anglers versus to what we typically do here.
Yes and no. I've got both. I've got, where they've been partners as a team tournament and team tournament type format. And then I've had it where I'm fishing against them as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's it. When I started, all your clubs, all your, that was before FLW. So it was just Bassmaster Federation, right? And every state had its own federation. The rule was there was boaters and non-boaters. And if your club had too many boaters would get partnered with boaters. And everybody got the trolling motor for half the day. And whoever's boat it was had to drive their co-angler, their non-boater, to their stuff for half the day. And you all competed against each other. So the guy in the back of your boat, you're fishing against all day, along with everybody else out on the water. I don't know, when it changed, when the federation changed the rule, and maybe it was when FLW took over the federation, or was a nation rule, or I don't know when things changed, but it became where it was truly boater, non-boater. And, the non-boater was basically just like if you were fishing a BFL or an open or something like that, where they're their own division fishing out of the back of the boat. I don't know. Did you have the boater, non-boater rules? Like, they were rules. There wasn't unwritten rules. It was legit written rules about what you could and what you couldn't do as
So I only fished one. I only fished one. Well, so I only fished one federation season where the boaters actually got paired up with other boaters.
Yeah.
The non-boaters have always been truly like a co-angler where they didn't own a boat. They just came along for the ride. They made no decisions throughout the day. They were just there to sit in the back seat and go along with you.
Yeah.
I was only put in one position where I ever had to share the boat with another boater. And because I lived way closer to the lake than he did, we fished out of my boat and pretty much made my decisions. Like that he didn't have a lot of input. We were pretty much on the same page, so it didn't really matter. I think we finished second and third in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So it worked out really well. We worked well together. But that's the only time I've ever had to share the boat with another boater. It's always been where I've made my own decisions throughout the day, and whoever was in the back seat just kind of went along with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the biggest rule that we had that I can remember, I mean, you're talking 25 years ago when I fished this format. You didn't cast from the front or from the back. You didn't cast past the imaginary center line, which was the front of the console. So you're working down a bank. You draw a line perpendicular through the center of that boat right at the front of the console. As boater, you didn't cast back across it, and as non-boater, didn't cast in front of it. And
that was your water.
Yeah, guys, but then what happens? You turn the boat. A savvy non-boater, as soon as you turn that boat to go around a tree or something, he's packing everything that he just got opened up to, because that line moves with the boat. It don't stay perpendicular to the bank, right? And then you got the guys going, he casted over the line and caught a fish I could have caught. Or, I mean, you still hear that in the BFLs and stuff, Got a buddy of mine last year. His pattern was he was throwing a frog, getting blow-ups, but they would just bump the frog. And I did. I was on the same fish, and they would to try to sit there and punch them. Like, you just couldn't cover enough water fast enough because there wasn't that many fish. But the fish that were there when you found them were good. They bumped that frog. You'd flip right in there. You just reel it in quick, flip right in there, and they would mow any Texas rig you dropped on their head. Well, his co-angler figured out, I'll just flip behind that guy's frog after the blow-up in a BFL.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about someone getting hot. And this guy gets pretty excited the way it is. Oh, he called me living the tournament. I set the phone on speaker like 10 feet away. It's just, well, I would be too. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes co-anglers, it's like if you aggravate your boater, he can. A lot of guys can really backboat you if they want, and they don't
Yeah.
generally do it. But if they decide to, you're gonna get crabby, because even casting over the boater's head and any of that stuff that you can do legally is still not going to be as good as, and nobody's going to have fun. Everybody's just going to be crabby at the end.
Exactly.
But that gets into that unwritten rule territory. And I've been in the back of boats where guys are just like, you're getting backboated bad, like right out of the gate. There are those guys, and it's not intentional. Some guys just fish that way. I got a couple buddies that they don't intend to backboat you, and they just fish like they're fishing off an Elite Series Pro guy would. When you fish with a guy that fishes that style, they fish off the trolling motor. They don't fish off the side. They fish over the trolling motor the whole time, and that's just the way they do it. They're not thinking about it. That's just how they always fish because they're not used to. They're not trying to cater to a back boat guy. Those guys, you're better off to stand right up shoulder to shoulder with an Elite Series Pro and fish off the front deck with them than you are to try to fish in the back of the boat, because the back of the boat, he's just used to a cameraman back there, not a fisherman.
Yeah. I mean, I had an experience as a co-angler where I drew this pro that had no business running the front of the boat whatsoever. He had the worst boat control I've ever seen in my life. And it really turned me off to, because all I've ever done is fish off the front of the boat. I mean, not all I've ever done. I grew up fishing in our club, fishing out of the back seat. But once I got my own boat, I pretty much never fish out of the back seat again. I've always been on the front deck. So I had some time available, went and fished a pro-am as an amateur and had one really good day, and then got paired with a guy that, dude, we'd set up on a spot. I'd fire out on, I'm looking at the GPS. I'm seeing where the brakes are at. I'd fire out on a brake, and he'd spin the boat around almost a 360 and run me over. So here I am, like winding the thing in just to keep it out of the trolling motor. And then I'd fire off the other side, and he'd swing it the other way and almost run me over. And I'm like, dude,
facial awareness.
I can't even fish.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That was a frustrating thing. Like I started in the club young, not quite as young as you, but pretty young. And the first two tournaments I fished as a co-angler. At the time, I had a 17-foot bass tracker, the old TX-17. And I'm like, this isn't doing me any favors. I'm just better off to go in the back of the boat. I mean, I spent a lot of time on the water in that boat. Probably more time than a lot of the guys that fished in the club, because a lot of them, it was just a hobby. That was the only time they went fishing all year's club tournament day, maybe a day for practice the week before. Very first tournament, guy runs us 45 minutes south of the boat landing, get there, fish for an hour, not going. Okay, so he's got 4 hours. He decides to go an hour back north of where the boat landing was. So an hour and 45-minute run north. And then he's like, well, I get 4 hours. Well, we can't get both 4 hours when you just burnt, 2.5 hours of run time. And anything I wanted to go fish, if it was back down where we started, I'm stuck. I'm stuck where he took us. Otherwise, I'm wasting time travel. That, and then the next experience I had was a pretty bad guy of just backboating, and it wasn't because it wasn't intentional. I knew the guy really well, and he was a really good angler, and I enjoyed fishing with him. I learned a lot fishing with him that day, but I was just like, what do I want to do? Do I want to learn more here when there was probably only a handful of guys in the club that were really going to teach you something? There's more guys that could teach you something, but there was only a handful of guys that would actually take the time to teach you. It was the tournament was pretty serious for them. So it's like, do I fish this to be serious for myself, or do I fish it to try to learn? And my decision was, I'm going to sign up as a boater. And anybody that gets partnered with me, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they have a good time in my boat, because I'm putting them in a much lesser class boat than they are with someone else. A lot of times I'd give them, their travel to their first spot of their 4 hours. I'd be like, listen, we're going to leave a little early because my boat goes 40 and everybody else's does 65. I take it off of my time. But I don't think I ever really had a couple guys that were like, yeah, I'll be the non-boater, because we had more boaters than non-boaters. They're like, I'll be the non-boater with you, and they had nicer boats than I did. I was fortunate. I gained the respect of a lot of people I fished the club with real quick. But at the end of the day, it was that system that caused me to quit the club, though, because you get into those situations where now you have to be partnered. Even though you signed up as a boater, you have to be partnered and with another boater. How do you look at a guy that's got a 2-year-old fiberglass bass boat and tell him, no, we're taking my TX17? Because it wasn't fair that you fished all day by yourself, because you got 4 hours or got 8 hours to everybody else's 4. And that's ultimately it was a boater non-boater circumstance that ultimately made me go, I'm done with this. I'll go fish opens with a buddy of mine and not worry about this club format.
Yeah. See, I've got more positive experiences on both ends, being a co-angler and being a pro, having a co-angler in the boat, than I do negative experiences. In the club, we never had the pro versus pro in the same boat. It was always, if you didn't own a boat, you were in the back end of somebody else's who did own a boat. And I knew most of the guys because my dad was in the club and I grew up with them.
Yeah.
So that, there was 5 or 6 select guys that I fish with all the time. And I was there to learn. And that was the best thing about being a co-angler is, I fished with my dad a lot when I was really young, and I mimicked what he did, what he did was fairly consistent. And then I fished with another 5 or 6 guys, and I learned a lot of different things that those guys did differently. And I developed as, my own angler over time. Picking up, things from everybody that I fished with. And then once I had my own boat, took that even further, and developed stuff that I came up with myself that I learned from all those guys, but kind of, it morphed into my own thing.
Yeah.
And, went and fished some programs with WAN Bass, and, started having guys in my back seat and what's cool about the WAN Bass format, for everybody that doesn't know, it's a team format. They try to pair up the same amount of pros or same amount of co-anglers as there are pros in the tournament. So everybody fishes as a team for the day. So when you show up as a co-angler, you fish with a pro on day one. Yep. Whatever you and that pro put in the boat together, your total 5 fish, that weight stays with you going into day 2. And then your day 2 pro and your team 5 fish weight, you carry over your day 1, and then your day 2 with that pro is added to that, and then same thing with day 3. So it's accumulating weight over the time with whoever you fish with, and it's a team thing. It's not like you're fishing against the guy. And it's I've had such cool experiences with guys in the boat. Like, I had one of the coolest moments I've ever had in this last Lake Mead Open. Things were not going right. The fish were not acting the way that I expected to early on in the day. I made about a 45-minute run to our area. Things were not happening. We had 2 fish in the well, and one of them was not looking very good. We ended up releasing one of them because I didn't want to bring it a dead fish, because weight, a half a pound penalty was going to kill us for the day at that tournament, because weights are typically pretty low there. And we ended up making a 20-minute run up to an area where I had some pretty good fish located, and there was someone sitting right on the spot. So by like noon, I think 3:00 was our check-in time. At like noon, I looked at him, I said, we got to run back to the fish that, I have going, and we got to figure out how to make them bite. So we ran back there, put 3 fish in the boat real quick. So I got 4 fish in the boat, and the wind was blowing like crazy. We had like 3.5, 4 footers that were pretty choppy, and I had about an hour plus run back to weigh in. And right around the corner from weigh in, there's this little pocket, and I look at the watch and I said, should we stop? Do you think we got time to stop? And he looks at me and he goes, dude, we're going to be pushing it, but we only got 4 fish. Let's try it. And I pull into this pocket where I had marked some fish, and I made 2 casts and stuck a 3.5 pound smallmouth on my very last cast. And we pulled in past the buoy line with probably less than 30 seconds to go. And I was in the money at that point because of that fish, and it was high fives and immediate, life jackets on, haul ass out of there, and we pull in just fist bumping, and I can't believe you pulled that off. It's a cool moment, and because you're fishing as a team, it wouldn't have been the same thing if you were fishing against the guy.
Yeah,
because it affected both of you.
That's it. Some of the tournaments, like you don't see the whole, like, I don't even like using the name, the pro versus pro in the same boat, because it wasn't even that. It's boater. It was boater and non-boater, but you all your weights were the same. So, but with walleye fishing here, some of the circuits do like one bass does, and then I don't know if there's a circuit still doing it or not, but when we had Kyle on, he mentioned one of the walleye circuits had your co-angler's your co-angler for that tournament. You get drawn with a co-angler, and your co-angler, so that you're co-angler for that tournament. So if it's 2 days, 3 days, depending on how many days you make it, but just to make sure I'm understanding you. So you both fish together. The boater and non-boater have separate divisions. Each one gets the weight of the boat for that day. So if you guys catch 12 pounds, he gets 12 pounds for that day, you get 12 pounds for that day. The next day, you're obviously both partnered with different people. Now, because it's luck of the draw, right? Like, they basically draw names out of a hat, correct? Has it ever happened where somebody's gotten partnered twice with the same guy?
Yeah.
Has it ever happened?
I don't think that's possible.
They won't allow it. Is that where
I don't think they'll allow it.
Okay. But yeah, I think that's a much better format. Like you said, you're in it as a team. I think we've all been fishing. One guy in the boat's hot for whatever reason. You just let him do it. Like in team tournaments, I've had my partner. I generally was the boat guy, so I've had it where my buddy is in the back of the boat just wearing them out, and I'm like, there's no sense in me giving these fish first cast if you're got the it today. Take the trolling motor.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do something like that in your event? Can they run your trolling motor?
They are not supposed to run the trolling motor unless it's an emergency.
Okay. But they can be on the front deck?
At least I think that's the rule. They can be on the front deck, but I don't think they're supposed to run the trolling motor.
A lot of times I just assume the guy be on the front deck. I mean, I've had some guys where I'm like, no, you're a bull in a china shop. Like, just stay back behind the seats. But for the most part, I just assume I can give both of us better casts, better boat positioning if you're both on the front deck. I mean, if you got an older boat and the deck's small, that's tough to do. But nowadays, these boats are, like last year fishing out of Canterbury's 21-foot Skeeter, I was like, holy cow, there's a football field up here to fish off of. It's amazing. My 21 TRX was that way. I mean, you fished out of the 21 TRX. That thing was huge.
Mm-hmm.
There's all the room in the world for 2 people up there. So
yeah, one of the coolest days I ever had, I fished Mojave with Julius Maisie, and I was the co-angler in that tournament. And we're chatting in the bottom of the boat in the morning, getting ready for blast off, and I'm rigging stuff up. And when you're fishing with a good fisherman, when you're talking to a good fisherman, you just have that, you can tell. The guy knows what he's doing, and he realized that, I could catch fish. And he told me, he said, okay, look, I don't typically do this with co-anglers, but I want you on the front deck with me all day long. And in 45 minutes, we each had four and 3/4 pounders in the bottom of the boat when we pulled into his area. And like I said, the high fives just were flying. And he realized that he had somebody that could actually catch some fish, and took advantage of that and said, I want you up there
Yeah.
because we're doing the forward-facing thing. When he
Yeah.
put a fish in the boat, he had it in the net, get back up there, look at the graph. There's a fish at 110 foot. I dropped it on its head, hooked one, and it was just boom, 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 really quick. And, if you have that scenario where you can do it and you trust a guy to do it, you better take advantage of it.
Yeah. That's got to be. I mean, we've all fished team tournaments, right? Like, that's the most fun when you're both on the front deck of the boat, just tooling on them, just tuna boating them shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it in some tournaments where I'd set the hook on a fish. You just step away from the trolling motor. Your partner's right on the trolling motor. He flips right in there on the weed edge, gets another fish. Next thing you know, it's like one of us is unhooked and back up there first. And if you're on a hot school, the other guy just takes fish and starts, culling or balance beaming or whatever you got to do, re-rigging baits, and you're just handing rods to the front deck. You're just
exactly,
the hired hand of the boat at that moment, because one guy's hot and you don't, especially schooling fish. I don't know how much you see it out there, but here you get on these schooling fish in milfoil, and we call them flurries. You get one to bite, you might catch 10 there, you might catch 20 there. Like, you just keep flipping back to the same, like the milfoil floats up to the surface and hangs out on the surface, and you just keep flipping right back to that same spot. So the more you can keep a bait in there and keep them fish fired up, the better. In the last couple of years, there's been a lot of talk. We knew we were going to talk about this, so we did a little homework beforehand, and it's like, the opens, they don't have co-anglers anymore, right? You wonder if and they did that because they weren't getting co-anglers. They weren't getting enough. You wonder if they would go to this. And obviously it's a little more work, because you got to basically, one person weighs in and then those weights go two different places. But you wonder if that wouldn't be, better for turnout for co-anglers, but also better I think it might be better for the sport, because now you're potentially introducing a bunch of up and coming anglers, which is what the co-angler thing was about in the first place. They're going to get more information than if they were just, fishing out of the back of the boat for their own weight.
Yeah.
And I've fished some team tournaments where you just basically show up like you are for the co-angler deal, and it's your buddy, and you're like, all right, what are you on? What are you doing? Okay, get my rods going. All right, well, I might see this circumstance or that circumstance, because he's this. And you bring a couple of your bailout baits, like, oh, if everything goes south, we might have to go crank riprap or something, so I better bring my square bill or something. And you just go fishing for the day. And a lot of times it's a lot of fun that way. Versus,
there's no pressure that way. You just show up and go fishing.
Yeah, you get to just show up and show off your skills for what's in front of you.
Exactly.
So, because that's a lot of people need work on just that stuff. They need work just on their skills.
Absolutely.
And on the other end of things, I know some people that are really, really skillful, bad at making tournament decisions.
Which is the most important thing, hands down.
So that's what I always say. A good tournament partner, it just needs to be a sounding board for the type of angler I am for tournaments. I just want a good, solid sounding board that I trust, or that trusts me to just, my decision is my decision, and they're good with that. But I want them to be able to catch fish out of the back of the boat.
Yeah, that was the best. I'm not going to say the best team partner I ever had skill wise, but the one that worked the best with me, I think I mentioned before in another podcast, we didn't even have to talk. Like, we knew what was going through each other's heads and the decisions we were going to make. Like, I'd look at him and say, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, I already thought about it, let's go do it. And it was almost always the right decision. We fished so well together, so seamless. And when you find somebody like that, it's almost invaluable, man.
I had one partner. It was my first team tournament partner. He never fished a bass tournament before. never really bass fished that much. In practice, I taught him how to pitch. And I'm a flipper, so we're going to pitch. Taught him how to pitch. Didn't really have much of his own equipment. Used mine. That worked. Surprisingly, it worked really good for 2 years. He ended up moving away for work, but that I never had a big problem in the boat with each other through bad events, through good events. Everything always went good. I had one partner that was, and me and him, you didn't know who was going to be hot that day, but it was almost always one of us got hot. And it was sort of like your partner. You'd talk to him, you'd say something, already thinking it. Or he'd say something, yep, already thinking it. But we were different. We'd recognize the same environmental changes, but we would have different responses for it. So, like his big thing, if the bite was really tough and we were on those weed bites, his go-to bait was a 10-inch worm. Mine was a brush hog. So you always were doing things a little different, but yet we always saw the same stuff. We had a lot of success together.
You're seeing the same things, but reacting to them a little bit
differently. We never had to be like, I think they're doing this. No, I think they're doing this. No, we never had those type of conversations. It was always, we thought the same thing. It was just the bait choice or more the presentation, which is awesome because when you're not catching them,
which is almost even better.
Yeah, you don't want both people in the boat going, well, I need to throw a Cinco, which
exactly
generally works.
It's a two-pronged approach.
Yeah, we always had a
approach to the same thing.
Yeah. And then we had the last guy I fished tournaments with, and I've been lucky. I've always had really good. I only had one tournament partner that just was like, it just got sour, and it was like, that doesn't need to continue. But my most recent tournament partner, he's completely different than anybody else. He would challenge me to question my own, in the positive way, question my own ideas, especially during practice. Let's go fish over there. I fished that place 20 times. I never caught fish. I think it looks good. And he won't let it go. He absolutely will not let it go. If he wants to fish it, he's going to make you go fish it. And the best tournament we ever had was because he made me go fish a spot that I had mentally wrote off without fishing it. But he's good in the back of the boat. He's good at netting. If he doesn't lose fish, and he's the type of guy that if he's in the back of the boat and you're flipping, he's like, yep, okay, slow down. You just cover everything and I'll flip a Texas rig Cinco. He hates doing it, but in a tournament he'll do it, and he's good at it. So, and I can't say which one of those was the best angler. I mean, Marcus and I fished really good together, but we fished really good, I think, because of what we figured out in practice with our two heads together. That's why we ended up doing so well together. But I don't know. I tend to think that my best partner was actually Tanner because he made me better. He made me a better angler.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, both of us, the only reason we quit fishing tournaments is we just sort of both got, well, we fish here every other weekend. And then you practice there every other weekend opposite of that. And it's like, we still fish together a lot. We just, I want to go to northern Wisconsin and hit a small lake and, that doesn't get tournament pressure. And we go wherever we want that weekend. We make it up as we go. That's the only reason we quit fishing tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of times you don't see that against tournament anglers. When they quit fishing tournaments together, they generally don't talk to each other ever again. Right?
Yeah.
That's
not the case with most of my partners. They're friends.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen fishing tournaments together ruin friendships. That was the one.
Yeah, I've seen it too.
That was the one thing with the one guy. I flat out told him, I said, listen, if we keep doing this, we ain't gonna be friends. We don't.
Yeah.
it was really boiled down to mentality. Just in a tournament circumstance, that the person that I am and the person that he is in that competitive format didn't do well in the boat. The whole day. One thing he would be, if he didn't catch almost as many fish as me or more fish than me, he wouldn't even talk to me on the way home from the tournament, whether we did good or bad.
Really?
It's like no one knows who caught what other than us two. What does it matter?
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. We're here for a team. If you're on the front of that boat, tuna boating them, I'm going to keep rigging. Like I said before, I'm going to keep rigging rods. I don't care who it is. But yeah, he was not that way at all. So yeah. And ended up, we're not really, we say hi if we see each other, but we're not really friends like we were at one point in time, all because of that.
Yeah.
It all stems from that, But yeah, I really would like to see. I think forward-facing sonar is changing a lot of things, and the co-angler thing is something that is drastically affected. And I was
going to start to go down that road too.
I really think that it's always like, well, we've never done it that way. That's not how we do it. Well, why can't we do it? Why can't we? Just because it's never been done in bass fishing. That's how walleye fishing does almost all of their stuff. Obviously, out by you guys, that's pretty standard with one bass. And, I get that, it was a mess back in the day when it was the top 150 or top 100 or whatever, the Bassmaster series. A friend of mine fished it way back when, that you got partnered with a boater. The pro level was that same way. It wasn't too long.
The Redmans were that way as well.
Yeah, I don't know about any of the other ones, but I know just because, I'm sure me and you forgot most of this because we watched those. Like my buddy Kerry, I remember watching him on TV win, and that was back when it was, and it was, whose boat do we take? Whose is faster? Where are we going? Who's on better fish? There was always that nonsense going on at those events, and it created a lot of drama. But I don't think putting a non-boater as your partner for the day in the tournament is going to create said drama, because you're not fishing them.
No, they shouldn't create drama, right? Because the non-boater shouldn't have any say as to what's going on. What the difference was back in those Redman days in the top 100s or whatever it was, you shared 50-50. You had half the day on the trolling motor for each guy, and they could make decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know guys, I wouldn't want them running my trolling motor. I see what their boat looks like. I don't want them running my trolling motor.
Seriously, dude. Especially now with the transducers hanging off of them now and 360 hanging off of it. Like, you ain't touching my trolling motor.
You fished with me. Tanner's in the back of the boat freaking out, taking an NRX and shoving it against the bank, trying to keep my boat from hitting a willow branch. And I'm like, it's okay. The talon will be fine. Like, it's okay that the talon hits the branch. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
I put more scratches putting my boat in and out of my garage in my boat than I have on the water. But he is just like, I go fishing with him and I don't even want to run his trolling motor. I'm afraid I'm going to scratch it. He's got a camouflage RT 188P, and we go fishing. You fished up, upriver with me. We go fishing up there. I'm like, I ain't touching the trolling motor. You just run that thing. I go up there, hit spot lock, don't move. Wait till him to get done.
It ain't gonna be my fault.
Yeah, but then I fish with guys where it's like, you ain't running my trolling motor ever. Especially some of these bodies water up here, the water's so dark coffee colored. You're just tooling along. Transducer says 3 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet. And you're like, oh, crud. Yeah, I got some good gouges last year in the bottom of my trolling motor. Went through like 3 or 4 trolling motor props. because I fish weeds enough. You
Mhm.
don't, if they get a burr in them, you ain't gonna cut weeds, so I take it off. Yeah, I went through 3 or 4 last year, and I can't believe I didn't snap one.
Yeah.
And I'm bad because on the river you're not fishing shallow that often, so I'm not in a good habit of set down out deeper, run the jack plate and the trim up, and get your get your prop basically almost out of the water. On the river, you never worry about that because you're always sitting in 8, 10, 12 feet of water, right? And then fishing shallower. Oh, I forget that
Mhm.
all the time. I'm tooling. All of a sudden, you hear the skeg of the Merc go crunk, 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 crunk. Oh, there's 2 miles an hour. Just lost
Yeah,
that.
I had that, dude. Before I fished the Lake Megat Open, I went out with a couple high school buddies of mine for about a 4-day trip, and they didn't once run the outboard, and
Yeah,
I think they knew better because they know what that place is like.
yeah,
There can be a reef out of nowhere, and your
yeah,
trolling motor, your lower unit's done.
yeah.
And I was practicing for the Open, long day toward the end of a day, and I was starting to get complacent, those 12, 13-hour days of
Yeah.
just, not catching a fish, idling, hitting GPS point after GPS point, and you just get complacent. And I'm idling through an area that I know is a little sketchy, and I wasn't going too fast, but I had my foot on the throttle a little bit, and thump, 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 thump. I'm like, oh should have looked down. I mean, it's 20, 30 foot visibility. I should have been looking around, and I wasn't. I was looking at the graph, and this reef came,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
straight up out of like
yeah.
60 foot of water. And the lower unit just took it,
At
dinged
least
up the
it's.
prop a little bit.
I hate to
It's
say
like,
it, like
dude.
the skeg doesn't bother me so bad. I mean, because running the river, I'm going to polish
Well,
the
the prop
skeg.
got it. The prop got it too.
But when you do that, and it's like, and I hear the boat landings are bad. I mean, there's some boat landings we call them prop eaters. Like we don't put in there because you very well might eat the
Yeah.
prop up. Because these props are not cheap.
Yep. No,
It
they're
is
not.
insane. Like $1,300 for a Bravo FS. I'm like, oh.
I know.
You hear that skeg go crunk, crunk, crunk. If your prop is engaged, if you're in gear, whether it's spinning or not, if it's not free spinning back there, yeah, the pit of your stomach goes up in your throat, and you're like, oh,
Absolutely.
crap, no, damn it, expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the
exactly what it felt like, dude.
I'd rather tear off some of the transducers.
But then you got a 3-day tournament ahead of you where you're running an hour and a half a lot of time, and you're like, okay, when is that lower unit shaft going to go? Because I just put it through hell.
You got to hit
stuff. Where am I going to throw an ear?
Yeah, you got to hit stuff pretty hard. That 4-stroke, I don't know if you've put a prop on one, but that prop shaft on that 4-stroke is beefy.
Is it?
It's yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I got a 250 XS on mine. I mean, it's substantial, but
it's really,
I don't know.
really what you got to worry.
My third lower unit so far, so
yeah, it's really, you don't have to worry about the shaft. Is did you bend it enough to make it blow a bearing? That's what you really got to worry about.
Yeah. No, I've cracked 2 shafts. You were talking to me about one of them when I was over at Meadless, sitting in the middle of the Narrows.
You ain't running my boat when you come here.
No, I'd rather not, because I ain't paying for it.
It's no fun to drive it anyway.
Back to the forward-facing sonar stuff for the co-anglers. I mean, it is killing it. And I think part of the reason why it's killing it is because nobody is adjusting to the way WON Bass has always been, making it a team format. The co-anglers that are there, that it's not their boat, and they're stuck in the back of the boat with a guy looking at a graph on the front deck all day long. They've got no fish to cast to because they're out there wandering in the middle of nowhere. That's what's killing it, because there has been no adjustment made on the tournament side of it, the tournament official side of it, is to what the rules are and how these tournaments are set up.
Well, that's it. It's gotten the forward-facing things big in walleye fishing. In walleye boats, they all have rails on the sides of their boat for their rod holders for trolling and this and that. It's a pretty big market for these mounts that bolt into that and hold your forward-facing sonar armature. So you got these co-anglers, the guy is spotlighting his spot with his forward-facing sonar, but then you got a guy in the back of the boat that is going all around the boat, behind it, off the side of it, all over the place. So just that alone, if it was more conducive for the bass fishermen to be able to do that, and there is some stuff out there, but some guys are like, you're going to wreck my gel coat, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. I mean, I wouldn't want to mount a bracket to my gunnel in the back of the boat for my co-angler to put. It's going to look ugly. The walleye guys, it's a necessity. They're going to have it either way. So,
and I don't know that there's a strong enough suction cup to get that done on a bass boat.
Right. I mean, and there's some mounts where it's like you can mount something to the deck of the boat back there, but still, you're still mounting something. So I don't know if. One, that would be something worth looking into from the industry side of things, because the rod holder brackets are all fairly universal at this point in the walleye boats. All of them pretty much. I think there's only really like 2 channel styles. And then you buy one of these things and it comes with both versions with it, so you can add it or, make it work. Maybe it's something that the bass boat's got to look into, and manufacturers got to support it too, maybe. But I still think that it would be nice if you were doing that and you're on like Mojave and you need, you could have the guy in the back of the boat forward facing on his own behalf back there. But
yeah,
I still think that ultimately, if we want to get co-anglers back into some of these trails that don't have co-anglers anymore, unfortunately, there's really 2 ways to look at it. Get rid of forward-facing sonar, which I don't think that's ever going to happen.
For the most part, it's not happening.
No,
not at that level.
I got a million reasons why I think it should, and it's not because I dislike forward-facing sonar. I just don't think it's helping. Participation and viewership of the sport, but I don't think you're going to see that. So, well, let's make it like you said. I mean, how is it for you guys finding co-anglers out there for one bass? Because like here, when the BFL comes to town, like I get a call every year. Do you want to fish the BFL as a co-angler? I need a co-angler, or my buddy needs a co-angler to sign up with them, so he guaranteed a spot. Like that's always a thing at every one of these. They're not BFLs anymore, but what was the BFL, which I think is the Phoenix Boat, whatever.
With BFL, you're fishing you're for your own fish, correct? As a co-angler?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so we don't have that problem with WAN bass because you're not fishing for your own fish. You're fishing as a team.
And we're fishing, we're talking about a fishery for our BFL or our Phoenix boat or whatever it's called. There's 3 tournaments a year out of La Crosse or Prairie du Chien or wherever on the Mississippi River, and there's 1 out of Winneconne. The likelihood of any of those being won at this time with forward-facing sonar in the traditional sense of chasing roamers, you might use it on a shallow flat or something and isolate fish, but you're not using it in, vertical forward. You're using it in spotlight probably. Someone will figure it out. It'll happen. But for the most part, that's not, it's going to get one frogging or flipping or cranking up river or something like that. And you still have a hard time getting co-anglers. So, and some of the guys I know that won't go co-angler fishing in that event won't go because they're like, wow, there's so many guys that really don't know what they're doing. And then, I'm just wasting my money going. And it's a one-day thing. You're going to have that no matter what, I guess. Yeah. But if the weight matters to both of you, maybe that guy that goes out there and his pattern just doesn't work out, or he just misread the circumstances or gets covered up by a bunch of boats, whatever the reason. maybe he's more likely to listen to the co-angler. Maybe
Yeah.
the co-angler has a better opportunity to participate in more than just catching the fish, but actually making some decisions and stuff, because we've all been there. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I zigged when I should have zagged. So now what do we do? Um, if the guy in the back of the boat's got skin in the game with you, you're more likely to listen to his opinion and give it a chance, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. The last day of the last big tournament that I fished, I turned around to my co-angler. We were going through a lot of fish that day. We weighed more than other days. We were
yeah,
culling all day long, but we weren't getting good fish. And I turned to him
yeah,
and I said, "You got any ideas?
yeah,
Because I'm spinning my wheels here. Like we're
yeah,
going through fish, but we're not making the culls we need to
yeah,
make to really make a difference. Tell me if you're seeing something that I'm missing
yeah.
to make a difference." And he's like, "Dude, I don't know, man." He's like, "I don't know. I'm
Right,
seeing the same stuff you're seeing, but I don't know."
right,
So, in that situation, you are more willing
yeah,
to ask those
yeah.
questions.
Well, I think you're more willing to listen to him too, because
Yeah,
you know you're not looking at him saying, "Okay, this guy's going to make or break my day," that he has no skin in the game on. I just think,
yeah,
you know, you you treat it more like it's a team thing. You treat it like
yeah.
it's a partnership, um, just like you would go fishing for the day with your buddy. If you're just out fun
Absolutely.
fishing and you're like, "Well, I ran my best stuff today. What do you got?" You know, you don't care at that point. I think when you're both getting credit for what's happening. I mean, and that's back in the club, it's like, hey, we're a team, but your
Hmm.
fish don't count for mine and mine don't count for yours, but we're a team. So let's, back then we couldn't call. We basically did 4 fish limits per person. And it was like, our goal is to have 4 really good fish for both of us. So you help me, I help you. And a lot of guys didn't ever take their 4 hours on the front of the boat, honestly, back then. They just let you have it as long as you were good to them. And like if you had a limit, and you were on fish in an area, just, give the guy some time. Like, hey, come up here,
Hmm.
make a pass, run the trolling motor so you get first shot at some stuff. Um,
Yeah. Didn't have to be
yeah.
4 hours and 4 hours. It just kind of split it up that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Probably the best way to do it.
it wasn't supposed to happen that way, but that's what, on gentleman's agreement, we're just going to do it this way because it's best. What's best for the
It
goose is
should
best
be
for the
that way.
gator. Yeah,
Make decisions together throughout the day and share trolling motor time as you go.
yeah. I had one co-angler. I was his co-angler. I went and practiced the lake because I had never fished it before. I didn't know the first thing about it. And this is before GPS mapping and all this stuff. Actually, the lake still doesn't have Navionics or Lake Master map for it. So go out there. It's a small, essentially reservoir. I go practice, show up the morning of the tournament, fishing with this guy. He's like, "Where do you want to go?" "What do you mean, where do you want?" He's like, "You run the trolling motor all day." What? He's like, "Yeah, I've never fished here. I don't know anything about it. And I didn't come practice. So you just run the trolling motor all day. Take me to where you want to fish." Well, alrighty then. Um, and that's what we did until I think this was one of the nails in the coffin. His trolling motor failed. Not his batteries, his trolling motor failed. It was sort of windy that day. His trolling motor failed like an hour and a half in a tournament. So there we go, bouncing around to main lake point to main lake point, throwing, a Bubba rig. It's going to be
Yeah.
a Bubba rig from now on. It's not going to be a Carolina rig with me. It's going to be a Bubba rig. Throwing a Bubba rig. Um, and I don't know. I didn't do that good, but I didn't do terrible. And got our butt spanked by guys fishing docks because by the time I was like, these main lake points, the fish get on them, and then once the sun goes up, we're going to docks. Have you ever tried to fish a dock without an operational trolling motor?
Negative.
Yeah.
We don't have docks in San Diego.
Well,
you got the marina dock. That's it.
Well, you're not fishing any of them without a trolling motor.
I can only
I promise
imagine.
you. Unless your buddy really, really likes you and wants to push pull.
Right.
No. Yeah, we missed the boat on that one. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing bothers you more than equipment failure costing you a day on the water, right? Your battery, your graph, that's always something, right? Nothing bothers you more than that. Well, imagine doing that, and it's imagine if it's somebody else's equipment causing that problem.
I bet.
You're like, shit.
Yeah.
Like your 21-foot fiberglass
a few years ago.
Yeah, go ahead.
That day one, I was in second place, about a pound back, and day two, it was two. The way our tournament of champions in San Diego is set up, it's all the top club fishermen from each club versus club.
Yeah, we have a tournament like that called Mr. Bass. So a lot of states I think have. That's a federation thing, Mr. Bass. So that's basically what you're talking about. Is that?
So I was in second place going into the second day, and it was two different lakes. The first day we fished El Cap, the second day we fished Otay. And my pattern at Otay, it was forward-facing sonar, but not in the sense that, you're minnowing fish and watching them eat the bait. I was scanning these flats because it was pre-spawn. All these fish were roaming these big, deep flats, 15 to 20 foot. And I was finding a fish, making a cast. As soon as my bait hit the water, I'm looking for the next fish. And it was just constant, efficiency. Every cast that I'm making, I'm casting at a fish. I'm finding the next one to cast at. And I launched the boat day 2, and my graph wouldn't turn on. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like panic mode, because that was my whole thing that day was I am going to make as many casts to fish as I can make. And I'm going to, and I was catching good fish. I was catching a lot. I was probably catching 20% of the fish that I casted at throughout the day. And I'm making hundreds of casts, and dude, I was full on panic mode. Graph was just black, couldn't get it to power. I spent almost 2 hours of the early morning trying to get it to work after catching a couple fish early on, just traditional fishing. And I was like, after that couple hours, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to go throw a fluke and a Senko and just go do what I got to do, traditional fishing. I ended up catching 5 fish and ended up finishing second overall, saving it. But dude, there's no worse feeling whatsoever than something failing when you've got a game plan that you're set on.
I still rig my boat like I'm tournament fishing. I do. My boat's always rigged like I may be tournament fishing. So
yeah,
I always have a backup graph because I've got 4. There's 4 on the boat.
Yeah.
This
was a bad splice down in the bottom of the freaking boat.
Yeah.
That the previous owner, it looked like good wire that was coming up, but I didn't know there was a splice in that wire from the previous owner. I pulled it all the way out and I went, dude, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like halfway up the boat, there's a splice in, 10 gauge wire. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, that's, I mean, you've had a lot of these conversations. Like, I know you've about tore that boat completely apart, short of, pulling the 2 halves in half, that's one thing I understand boat rigging enough to be able to rig my stuff really nice and clean.
Yeah.
As long as I have the time and the want to at the time to do so, I can make it as pretty and clean as anybody. But I do it just so I know where everything is. I know what size fuses. I know where wires ran where. I mean, my Ranger at my 520L was really rigged pretty good. I didn't alter it a whole lot. But my Tritons, I basically ran all new. Like, I would leave their stuff alone for the bilge and all that stuff, but I would run Perco switches to bus bars to fuse bus bars and run basically whole new circuits for all my graphs and everything. And I carry it on Amazon. I tell people when they get a boat, like Marcus just got his boat, I'm like, here's a link. You need to go buy this. It's a skill little like 9-volt driver. So it looks like a screwdriver, but it's got a little motor in it. They're like
I've got one in my boat.
$36. Has a little kit with bits. Did I tell you about it? Is that how you ended up getting one?
No, I've had it in my boat for probably 10 years.
So it's this little
It's got the little
lithium.
pocket in it for all the little different drives.
Oh no, this one's a electric drill, forward, reverse, quick change chuck on it, lithium. Charge it via USB of your cigarette lighter. Comes in a little box. Looks like a big holder box, but the drill's in there and then all the bits.
Oh, it comes with a box with it. Okay, so mine's got a little slot that all those little bits fit into.
Yeah, no, this one is
got it.
Last year I checked it. I forgot I even had it in there. I get the boat out ready to go, and I'm like, oh crap, I better charge that. Pull it out. It's charged. Had like half a charge in it still. It's been in there for over a year. Just little things like that. And if you know how your stuff's rigged, I carry a voltmeter. I bought a cheap battery digital voltmeter. Carry that in the boat. I think, knock on wood, I've not had to use that stuff on my boat. I've used it on other people's boats out on the water quite a bit. You know, you come across that guy that's digging around. All right, well, that one day I hopped in a guy's boat, tied his boat off to my boat while I was talon down on a sandbar, so his boat quit drifting, and dug around and found a fuse that was burnt out on his outboard, and it was killing his control panel. That's why he couldn't start his boat outboard. Had the fuses, had the tools. It's costing me 4 miles an hour, but I'm not getting stranded.
Trust me, dude. I know. I've got a whole like 50 cal ammo box full of tools and zip ties and liquid electric tape. And I mean, dude, you name it. I've got spare screws. I've got it. And it's all because of over time, you know, as things happen, you're like, okay, I need that. Okay, I need that. You know, you got a 1/4 inch ratchet with how many with a different socket for every single socket you've got, or every nut you've got on that boat.
I've got a full set. I got a full set that's like, you know, this big. It's like 12 inches by 16 inches. It's got 1/4 and 3/8, a couple wrenches in there. But so I got stuff I don't need. It takes up more space, but I've got enough space. I would start doing like you said, like, okay, I don't need these size sockets because
I've got to narrow down to what I've got on the boat. But you learn to do that over time with an older boat.
I'm able to get all my tools and my inflatable life jackets, my inflatable throw cushion, which every year I ask, is this legal? They're like, well, I don't think so. Oh, no, the Coast Guard stamps right on it. It's legal. All that stuff and my set of rain gear. And I'm really particular about my rain gear. Every time I get done wearing it, it gets laid out flat after it dries, folded up really nice in a bag in that compartment. I get all of that stuff just in the compartment. Oh, and spare trolling motor prop, my boat, my landing ropes and all that stuff is all in the compartment behind my driver's seat. So I've got lots of room yet.
What's a rain jacket?
Yeah, it's what you throw on when you didn't dress warm enough. That's what you have. What you put on when you didn't dress warm enough is what it usually. I don't tournament fish, so I don't need a rain jacket. It's supposed. What do you mean it's supposed to rain? I ain't going fishing.
You know what we do when we don't dress warm enough? Me and Matt Allen did this one time. We went up to one of our high mountain reservoirs.
I don't want to hear about you and Matt snuggling.
No, we weren't snuggling. But my driver's side rod locker was used as a coffin.
Oh yeah,
to warm up in. Because we showed up at this lake, man, and it was cold to begin with, but we were dressed warm enough, as it was. But this fog bank rolled in, and he'll tell you, dude, it was it was ice.
Oh,
Absolute freaking ice. We were shivering, and we took turns crawling in the driver's side rod locker because I didn't have as much in that side. I didn't have any rods over there at all. And we took turns getting our core body temperature back up. Full clothes, just, dude, it was so freaking cold.
It'd be so easy. I mean, I know you have the hunting gear, and I have the hunting gear. It'd be so easy to throw a set of medium weight First Light long underwear.
Yeah.
And now with like the puffy jackets and stuff, I carry that along because I've got the, not to plug First Light. I like their stuff. I use their stuff.
But dude, here it is so rare that you run into those situations.
Yeah.
And if I'm going up to, those high mountain reservoirs, yes, I'm going to bring that just in case. But otherwise, it is so rare that we even run into, rain popped up out of nowhere. Never happens. Ever.
Yeah. The puffy stuff, like I carry a AFCO puffy jacket. I've got one of their original ones. Their new ones are really good, but I just have one of their original ones that's real down. But now I've got some stuff that I've been using duck hunting, and it's the Permaloft or whatever it's called, basically puffy style stuff, and it's wader insulated pants and then a matching jacket to it. I mean, you can put that in a bag, lay on it, zip it shut. You can get all of that, a double, an extra large jacket and pant in a gallon Ziploc bag. And it comes back, and it's like, especially here where, you go up north for the weekend and you forget to pack something, and it's like, oh, I got that.
Mm-hmm.
And we should do a podcast on that sometime. Maybe if you make it this far in the podcast, put in the comments if you'd like us to do a podcast about what do you keep in your boat that's not tackle, rod, or reel.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get Marcus on because he's, new again boat owner. We got to get him on anyway to talk about, quitting and coming back. And, yeah. I'll have to tolerate
you. You and Marcus giving each other shit back and forth that's what we need him for.
I'm gonna get ganged up on. That's what it is.
You are.
That's why
and Kurtman's
Kurtman's gonna make. Yeah, Kurtman will make an appearance. Yeah, we'll bring out Kurtman. I was gonna bring out Kurtman if Matt brings Miles Berghoff.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah.
If he brings Miles Berghoff, I already made that deal.
Marcus.
Well, and we were going to try to get Marcus on with Matt when Matt comes on next. Marcus is he's on the road more than Matt is for work, so it's tough to get him on.
Marcus will be fun.
I didn't even think about it. I should have called him. He might have came on tonight if I would have gave him a heads up.
You screwed up.
I guess we'll have to film another podcast. Guess we can't stop now. So. Gotta keep doing this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We can't always have guests on. So anytime anybody has a comment like, "Hey, I'd love to hear this," or "Hey, you guys talked about this a little bit. Would like to hear more about that." Let us know.
Absolutely.
Trust me, I got a few
things planned. Before we sat down tonight, I called Curt. I said, "Hey, do we have anything written down about what we want to talk about, just you and I?" And we're like, "Well, crap, we've already covered half of it in the episodes we've filmed with guests already." So, comment.
The more topics we get, the better. We sort of started this where you were like, "Well, I'll be the referee," and I have an opinion. So, give us some ideas.
I think you've really pulled back that opinion. You haven't really opened up.
We haven't really talked about anything that
We'll get there. We got an episode. We got an episode planned where we're definitely going to get there.
Which one's that?
With Kyle, with the questions.
Oh,
we talked about it.
Yeah. The Q&A with Curt and Kyle.
I'm leading. I already know what my first question is going to be, and I'm not going to tell you. But I already know what question number 1 is going to be, and it's a good one. It's going to get it kicked off right.
I'll tell you what, you want to really get it fired up? I shoot Sporting Clays with Kyle. So ask who has the higher average at the end of the year. He's got to shoot 2 more scores yet. I got mine.
Maybe that'll be question 10 because question 1's even better than that.
He'll be all political about it though. I was giving him crap today.
No,
And he's like,
not
we're
this
all
one.
well, that one he might not, but he's like, we're all on the same team. I want us to all do good. Like, you're so full of shit. You want us all to do good as long as you do a little better. Don't bullshit me.
Right. I can tell.
I had to ride him a little bit today because he shot the course today that I shot yesterday, and I beat him by 5, and we were tied for average. So then the next course, I only missed 3 out of 50. So he's gotta do his work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've never beat him. I've never beat him or Troy for Sporting Clays League. I've never been high shooter on the team. No.
I've never shot Sporting Clays.
Yeah.
Shot 5 stand and trap, but never did the Sporting Clays thing.
I really enjoy Sporting Clays more than I do. I like trap. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I also shoot trap twice a week, almost every week, and should be way better at it than I am. But I don't know. Sporting Clays to me is like bass fishing. You know, every station is a little different. There's a lot of ways to do it. I go shoot my 28 gauge sometimes. It's a lot of fun. But then, but there is something purist about trap, where it's this is where you stand. Yeah. You're going to shoot 5 from here. The house is going to throw it the same every time. Excuse me. But yeah, so it's, you know, I get real excited though. I guess I maybe shouldn't say that I'm not that good at trap. I feel like I should be better, but I shoot pretty good. You know, I still get nerves. I've done it a bunch, and I get to 23 straight, 22 straight, 24 straight. You're like, am I going to get that 25? More times than not, I don't mess it up.
Yeah.
More times than not. Last summer, I missed the last bird of a 50 straight.
Ooh. That hurts.
And it would have been my first 50 straight. So, yeah, it was. And it was an easy one I shouldn't have missed. It just.
Yeah. He just choked.
Yeah, trying to watch yourself shoot 50 straight was what I did. Oh, look, there's a bird. I'm going to shoot it now. Let's watch myself do it and lift my head.
49 times in a row.
And the worst thing is the person scoring volunteered to score me because she knew I was going to shoot a 50 straight. She was
jinxed you.
She both came up and slapped me for missing it.
I bet.
Like she wanted to score it to watch it happen. She didn't want to heckle me. She wanted me to shoot it, and yeah, she about slapped me.
Man.
And I was pretty disappointed in myself. After I got done shooting, she came up to me and told her about her husband missed the last bird of 100 straight at the Grand, which would basically be like the U.S. Open of trap shooting.
Damn.
In competition. At one of the highest levels you can for trap in the United States. So I felt a little better. Then I felt worse for him, and I could feel bad for me.
Right.
Someone else's misery overpowered mine.
99's impressive.
Yeah. But I was on a tear last year during the middle of summer. At one point in time, I think I had like missed only 6 birds in 8 rounds or something like that. Yeah, I finished up the year with a 23.3 average. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Not doing that good this winter. I've shot some of the worst scores I've ever shot this winter. But when you have to go out there and it's 10 degrees and it's blowing 30. You know. But,
that's why you stay inside with a fire.
Dude, if you did that, you'd never leave the house here for 8 months. You're not available enough to make that work
This is why
worthwhile.
this is why your Tuesdays and Wednesdays aren't available, because you're busy out there freezing your ass off.
Are you available Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Adam?
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
Let's make sure everybody else knows. I know you're giving me shit. Rest of the week.
All right. Are we ready to wrap this up?
I don't know. I guess there's nothing else you want to talk about.
I think we've covered everything we need to talk about for co-angler stuff.
Yeah.
Got into the whole boating issues, what we keep in our boat. That's a podcast in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, we should do that.
And a checklist. I think we need to go over a checklist of things people need to go over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have a checklist of my own, really. You know, but when I have a tournament approaching, I'll have a checklist of go over every bolt in the boat, you know, stuff like that. Cinch down everything, you know, all your transom bolts, all that stuff. But
that's the one thing
checklist of things to check before I leave.
That's the one thing on my boat. The top transom bolts are tough to get to.
Yeah,
they're a pain. They're a pain to get to. Ranger's got these little black stickers you got to peel off, and then you got to re-put them back on, and you know how that works with stickers. And I still have trying to figure out, well, I'm going to do something different there. I'm going to get a piece of poly and mill it or something. But so many boats when they get older, their transom gets wrecked because someone didn't keep the bolts tight. You talk to a boat dealer, they see it a lot. The number one thing I'd say, two things. So transom bolts, and if you have a jack plate, greasing your jack plate.
Yeah.
If your jack plate's like my Bob's needs grease. I was having a problem last year and I thought there was something wrong with it. No, just needed grease. Wouldn't go up and down under power. Just needed grease.
Yep. I'm constantly checking the grease on mine, going full up, full down.
Yeah. They're not the easiest thing to grease because even if you use the grease cert on a Bob's, I don't feel like it really greases it that good.
No, I go full up and I'll grease the plate itself a lot of time and then run it all the way down.
Yeah, I try to get
I don't even use the Zerk fitting a lot of time. I'll put a little bit in the Zerk fitting, but I'll grease the plate.
Yeah, I grease the plate, run some in the Zerk filling. I put nitrile gloves on, smear it as much as I can. I pack into that groove. Yeah, you got way more on there. Yeah, it looks like crap, but I know it
does, dude. It looks like
I know it's going to work.
Works.
Yeah, I know it's going to work.
Exactly.
And just, I mean, there's so much easy to do stuff if you're, you know, you got a grease gun, go buy grease gun and some grease. You can buy it off Amazon. Good blue marine grease, nothing fancy needed.
But between you and I think there's a lot of things we can come up with a list of, you know, things we do in tournament prep and before we're ready to go on the road and do something that somebody's not already doing that it's going to save them.
Yeah. I just too, and if you're not very mechanically inclined, and like a lot of times I just get lazy about it. Never been great on maintenance. I'm pretty savvy at fixing stuff because I usually don't maintain it and then break it. But that's the biggest reason I take my, boat in and have service done because they're, I know I trust my dealer's going to check that stuff. And if you don't have a relationship with your dealer and know they're going to do it, just make sure you mention it when you take it in. Be like, hey, I need these things looked over. Wheel bearings, jack plate grease, transom bolts, all the normal little things because I know I haven't done it.
Yeah.
And trust me, if you're regular at your dealer every year getting service done, when it comes time that something bad happens and you need it done quickly, you having a relationship and a business relationship and rapport with that dealer, it goes a long ways. Otherwise, you're just, most dealers are pretty good. They take care of you however they take care of people, but it's always nice to have a good working relationship with your dealer.
It is, for sure.
So...
Yeah, I did recently. I've been putting off had a trailer tire with. It's got a real slow leak. I filled the thing up. About a week later, the tire starts to sag a little bit, and I finally, after about 5 months, got that thing repaired the other day. And it's you put things off and put things off, and sometimes you forget about them.
Yeah.
This one I couldn't forget about because I couldn't tow it down the road. I get about 3-day trip out of the boat with a full tire, and then by the time I got it home, it was sagging again.
Yeah.
But
I'll check everything over, and then I'll try to probably make a trip down by my boat dealer. I give them a call because with the ice and everything, like you'd be surprised. They're really busy right now because they're getting boats in and they're going through all the boats that came in for winterizing that just got dropped off, and they have they just scheduled throughout the whole winter getting all that work done.
yeah.
So, and I used to just store it there so the stuff got done. Now I don't store it by them anymore, and trying to get it in for service just maintenance routine stuff now is like, yeah, bring it down at this time. It's gonna snow. Oh, and the salt.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually just wait till like sometime between Memorial Day and 4th of July, drive down there, have them go through it. Hopefully, because the dealer's an hour away, so I don't like dropping it off, coming home, dropping it out, and go back and get it. I like to just schedule a day to go down there, and they do it while I'm there.
For sure.
Not every boat dealer's going to do that.
Nope.
But I treat it like a doctor's visit. I'm like, I want to schedule it. I will be here on this day. Treat it as if my boat's there waiting. You tell me what day it has to be there. And they take care of me good.
For sure.
But
nice.
Back to that good working relationship, though. I've done a lot of business with them over the years and sent guys there.
Absolutely. You develop relationships, they'll take care of you.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's about it. I don't think we can get more off topic than talking about trap sporting clays and boat dealers from co-anglers. So
yeah, let's get out of here. Let's plan a boat maintenance checklist one, and I don't know who else we got. We got a buddy of mine set up to come on hopefully pretty soon. He was supposed to come on last week, but we'll get him scheduled again soon for a very interesting episode or two.
You're gonna die on your sword trying to make that episode happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be crazy.
I'll be sick again. I'll be sick again.
That may even air before this one. We may hang on to this one. We'll see. All right, let's check.
I think this one should go out sooner than later, just because of the. It's that time of year people are making decisions about fishing other tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the cold angler thing can be very advantageous. If you got body water you've never fished before. I guess we really didn't talk about that too much, but like you sort of hit on it. You grew up fishing with your dad, and then you start fishing with these other guys, and that's what all those influences makes you who you are today.
Yep.
And if you go into it with the attitude of, I'm going to learn possibly things to do, and I'm going to learn some things not to do. That's always possible.
Absolutely.
Every day on the water should be a learning experience, whether it's things to do, things not to do. You might go out there and it might not be that good, but maybe you see that he makes a decision that goes from you're catching fish to not catching fish, or vice versa, which is hopefully what you see happen when you're out there. But if you go in it as you're paying for a lesson, as good as it may be, you should be able to have a decent time. But we need co-anglers. We got to find a way to get more co-anglers back into it.
Absolutely. It's the future of the sport.
Yeah.
And it really is. Usually it's the younger people that are coming in looking to fish tournaments and learn.
Yeah.
Is that you have the younger anglers that have boats already that are already succeeding, but I would say there's more younger anglers that don't have the boats that are hopping in the back end of other people's boats.
Would you say that that's what you see out there? I would not say that's what I see here, especially since the the middle school, high school, college stuff. You don't see young co-anglers.
So yeah, we are seeing less and less of that. We've got a club here of younger anglers. We don't have the college fishing out here. We don't really have the high school fishing out here. We have a club of junior anglers.
Yeah.
And they're fishing their own tournaments, and they're getting team partners, and they're fishing team tournaments. Some of them have boats, or they're getting boats. But we do still have some young anglers that are hopping in the boat, in clubs, in the Federation, which is a club, but it's a little different here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems most of the guys that I know and people I see that are fishing co-angler here, a lot of it's the retired guys that actually just like doing it.
We do have that.
That don't want to spend the time to practice and travel and stuff, and they just, I know one guy, he fishes all those BFL, or somebody's gonna be mad that I don't know what they are called now. I think it's the Phoenix boat. But he fishes all of them around here that he can as a co-angler. Now he fishes local opens with his own boat, but he goes to those tournaments and fishes as a co. Doesn't really fish those bodies of water at all as a competitor on his own. But he just likes doing it. He likes seeing what other people do and meeting people, and so there's a lot of people I think to do that. But I think when you get down south, especially when you start talking about like at the open level, how else are you going to go see how things are done? And as a co-angler, I think one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot as a co-angler in the opens, you can practice with one of the pros, right? So if you can get partnered up with somebody, like I really thought hard one year about fishing the opens as a co when Canterbury fished the opens, because I could practice with them every before every tournament, and I knew I was going to have fun doing that. Like the tournament's just okay; it's a tournament. But so there's other advantages too outside of just and I don't know how that is for you guys. Like you can get, I'm sure there's guys get partnered up with co-anglers at all the one bass stuff, and is there guys doing that for one bass? Co's and
like
boaters
signing up with somebody.
Well, just they travel together.
Yes, there are guys. I wouldn't say there's a lot of that going on, but yes, there are guys that travel together for sure. There's a few.
So then, because they can fish practice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they do practice with them.
Yeah.
I had somebody reach out recently to practice with me at Clear Lake.
Yeah. So it's more than just the tournament day. And that was sort of the fun too back in the club days, was taking a couple days the weekend before or whatever, because our club had rules that the whole week prior was off limits, starting that Monday before the tournament. And that was some of the fun, was going out practicing with people, and then you sort of get a feel ahead of time how they fish and this and that. And then come our club tournament day, you're in the boat together.
Yeah. And it's really cool to watch somebody practice too. Like I can see it from the pro side, watching the co-angler watch me practice. Because you practice different, you look at things different before a tournament than actually during the tournament.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of comprehend that as a co-angler who's never really truly practiced for a tournament. Yeah. I'm not trying to stick my fish.
Right.
I'm trying to find fish for the future, as conditions change. Yeah. So it's a totally different point of view is, to tournament day and making decisions on tournament day. You're looking 3-4 days ahead.
Yeah. If I pull up on a spot that I want to practice on, I make 5 casts, catch 2 good ones. I'm not making 6.
Hell no.
Oh, no. You want to see me fired up.
I'm not catching them.
Right.
Most of the time I'm shaking them off.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on where you're fishing, you know. Like, yeah, if you're on mead, yeah, there's no sense in catching anything, right? Because they
Hell
all
no.
count,
I didn't
right?
have,
Here, you
dude.
got to
I
know if they're
think that
2
we
pounds or
talked.
4 pounds. You know, you've got to
Oh,
know.
absolutely. I think we talked with. I think it was Stefan. We had a episode with that we were talking about. I pulled into a cove. I only caught fish for 45 minutes of that practice. Some weather moved in, and I had practiced for 2.5 days without getting a bite. And I was like, dude, I got to put a hook in something.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
45 minutes, I pulled into a cove and wrecked them.
yeah,
12 pounds on meat is a decent bag. I
yeah,
wrecked them in 12 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm done for the next 3 days.
yeah,
I never hooked another fish, never had a hook on another bait for the rest of practice.
yeah.
So
I've
it's a
always
totally
been good
different
at.
mindset.
I don't mind shaking fish off. Marcus, when we have Marcus on, you want to get me fired up? Him stinging fish, making long casts out of the back of the boat when my trolling motor's kicked on high. I'll get fired up. I'll get animated. You bet.
Oh, we're talking about that.
Mm-hmm. And in hindsight, because the weather moved in, big cold front, we should have stuck everyone. Should have sat there and creamed on
Yeah,
everyone because they were
yeah, for sure.
ghosts. But
I've
that's
run into
if
those situations, dude. Where you're like, dude, we should have just freaking caught them.
yeah, just caught
Well,
them. But
honestly, one of the best days that I ever had on the water came from a situation like that, where I was practicing for a tournament and I knew the situation was like, they're freaking eating right now.
yeah,
I'm just going to keep catching them because I know they're going to change for tournament day. And I had a 40-pound bag.
yeah,
The biggest bag that is, for as far as I know, has ever been caught on that lake. I caught in practicing for a tournament. We ended up getting third place in the tournament anyway.
I'm going to
But
get
they
you
changed,
one.
and I knew we pulled back their day of the tournament, and the fish had moved. And I recognized that pulling back. I told my partner, I was like, no, they're not where I got them the other day. Let's keep going. And we found them and got third place. But that's part of practicing for tournaments and recognizing that
Mm-hmm.
that you can catch them, because it's not going to be that way during tournament day, because the conditions aren't going to be the same.
Where I fish most of the time, I never like stinging them. I don't care if I know a big cold front's coming. I don't like stinging them because my fish generally aren't going to move that far, and I'm still going to be fishing those same fish. So I don't like.
See, this was a little bit.
I don't like
This was a little
practice,
different.
but,
Where this was a channel where fish were constantly funneling in.
yeah,
It had been that way for a month. It was different fish coming through. It was a highway where it was new fish constantly.
Right.
So,
yeah, like if I'm catching fish and it's early spring pre-spawn and I'm catching transition fish through a transitional area, I'll fleece on them.
that's exactly what it was.
They tend to come in the afternoon and stage, and then overnight they move or do something, and it's not the same fish the next day.
Nope, it's a whole new set.
So then, I'm gonna fleece on them. But yeah, it's it's learning how to practice is big. Like I was saying, you pull up on a spot, you can't get a couple good bites, the right bites. Okay, now I'm instantly in what's near here if conditions change. Mm-hmm. Where on the bank from this spot are they going to go? Where deeper can they go? Those are the things I want to find out before tournament day, because if something changes and those fish do move, I want to have a reasonably decent idea. So I start doing the big radiate a circle around the area, whether that's side imaging or forward-facing sonar or just, fishing a weed edge, just see if you find more fish and just mark as many little pockets of hard bottom you can. That's, for me, that's my biggest thing with weeds, is I try to find pockets of hard bottom amongst the weeds. Seeing that stuff, it's easy to hop in somebody's boat that fishes a lot and just go fishing, and you're like, well, that guy always catches fish. He's constantly changing his approach based on every day on the water, what the information tells him. And that's sort of what practice has to be. That's where people mess up in practice, or actually tournament day. They try to duplicate practice. You can't duplicate practice. That's a quick way to lose. No duplicate. You don't ever duplicate practice. I have so many guys, and I was guilty of it. When I got good at tournament fishing is when I figured this out. You go out there, oh, I had fish on this tree, I had fish on that tree, and you're fishing in the tournament to catch the same fish or the fish off the same spot you did in practice. And you miss the tree before it or the stick before it or the out from it. You're trying to duplicate every cast, every catch from practice.
They may have only moved 10 feet, but they're not willing to move that 10 feet to eat the bait that you're presenting
them. And a lot of people, they just half-ass every cast in between the cast that got them bit in practice. And, we call it winning practice, all this stuff. I just, at the end of the day, I'm like, you can't duplicate practice. That's what I tell people. Don't duplicate practice. Use practice no different than you would the information from 2 weeks ago. Because you wouldn't do that if it was from 2 weeks ago. You wouldn't go pull up and assume that I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch fish here.
You'd expect that they're doing something different.
And that's why practice you're usually so good. You take prior information and investigate instead of taking prior information, trying to duplicate. And even if it's the day before, obviously you don't have to investigate very far, but you still have to treat it like, okay, they were on this bank. I had a tournament.
Depending on the conditions, some days you do have to completely change.
Right. But I had a tournament where in practice they were on the big logs, all the big trunks of the laydowns, up and down this 200-yard bank. 2 days later, I go back in a tournament, literally fish the whole thing up and down and don't get a bite. And it was loaded, like one of the most loaded spawning grounds I've ever seen. It's like, what happened? I ended up pulling out and fishing deeper, dragging a worm, started catching some fish. The sun got up and I started hearing and seeing fish. They were coming up and go right on anywhere there was a little stick with duckweed matted around it. That's where they were sitting. They weren't on because it had warmed up and they got up into the top of the water column to get into that sun. They were up by those little sticks. They weren't down
a couple extra degrees.
They weren't down by the trunks of the laydowns. I ran my boat over top them fish going up and down it in the morning. Because if I hadn't been open-minded and started, okay, all right, this isn't working, I should have recognized that the first pass, I should have went up and down. Should have been like, these fish are here. I went back the next day after the tournament, and I did all right in the tournament. Went back the next day. I went down that same bank, threw a buzz bait out parallel to the bank about 20 feet off the shore, and just smashed on them better than I did in practice. It was dumb. And water temperature was like 54 degrees, but you just slow roll that black buzz bait. Shit. Because I thought of that, figured that out with about 15 minutes of the tournament left to go. Screwed up. Tried to duplicate practice. Caught them in cold front, cloudy skies conditions. They were on the big section of wood that held the most heat. Water temp warmed up, couple days of sunlight. They got themselves where they could just get up in the water column and absorb some sun, and they were eating dragonflies or whatever coming off the. Because it was like you pitch that little V&M worm back in the day, the old red bug worm. Pitch her over by the little patch of duckweed, 1/8 ounce head, just falls there. Boom, there it is. And then then at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm doing this all wrong. I think I could throw a buzz bait on these fish. Yeah, I went the next day because it's way faster fishing a buzz bait than a worm.
Yeah, well, the dragonfly deal is a deal. It's a real. I wouldn't say a small time frame, but there's a time frame where that happens here, and there's a couple baits that I throw that I refuse to talk about.
Well, you'll talk about with me then. I want to hear
we won't.
Not here.
You and I
Not
will
on
talk
here.
about it.
Yeah.
I will not put it on here.
Yeah, no,
But
I won't either.
There's a couple baits that.
I've got a couple baits to share with you about that too.
Yeah, dragonfly thing is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little deal. We'll end it with that. Little teaser.
I will give this tip. If you're not considering dragonfly larva, you're missing out on some good bites during the year. Well, let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. All right. Yeah. We hit my hour and 40. See, I told you. You might have to edit out some of the nonsense, but
no, the nonsense is good. It was a good conversation. Let's get out of here.
All right. See y'all later.
All right. Peace.